This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Welcome to the Supreme Resort Land v World, a podcast about Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and which is the Supreme Resort. Each episode, we will discuss and explore each resort land by land, park by park, to determine which is better. I'm your host, Jimmy, and thank you for joining me on this quest to help the greater good of humanity and Toy Story Mike determine which is better, Disneyland or Walt Disney World. Joining me as always is Dan.
Hey, I'm Dan. Tom Corliss is an awful person.
Okay. You'll have to elaborate. And Eric?
We already have.
Oh, great.
I think we've talked enough about good old Tommy. Yeah,
I want us to be on his radar and for him to complain about us at this point.
I think that would be a lot of fun. Still hate watching. But he's been, now that he denies that this is the case, but now that he's on the list to be able to do press stuff, he's been real positive.
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy, who's that other person?
What's that?
Who's that other person? You haven't introduced all of us yet.
Oh, I said Eric.
You said me.
Yeah, I said Eric.
Sorry.
That's when he was allowed to start talking.
You were trying to introduce
I was going to say.
Sure.
No, Asher's away.
Phil inside the magic.
Phil McCracken.
Asher's away. He's traveling the world with his new Uncle Jeremy.
Oh.
We might get correspondence from him occasionally.
Oh, good. I can't wait. Hopefully Uncle Jeremy shares some of his news as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. So let's talk about it. The elephant in the room.
Which it?
The elephant in the room. Disney parks are too expensive.
Are they?
Okay. Now, my wife and I, this is the same frugal $3,000 fridge lady. By the way, it showed up, had a dent. Moving on. So it's a very small dent. You'd never know. Anyway, so frugal wife, who's lovely, previous guest of the show, we are looking for using our vacation club points. We bought our DVC before we had children. Mm-hmm. We are such big fans of Disney World, traveling there, etc. We would go, back in the day, quote unquote, when things were, quote unquote cheap. We bought our vacation club knowing that that's just where we're going to vacation. And the cool thing about these points, we can use them anywhere, blah, blah, blah. We've only ever used them at Disney World or Disneyland occasionally. Mm-hmm. We have a bunch of points that are going to go away in August because our use year starts in September. So we have 160 points that are going to start in September. We have 160 points that are going away if we don't use them or sell them, can't bank them anymore. Got to use them before August. Okay. So we have enough for, I don't know, a 1-bedroom for 5-6 nights at Old Key West or 4 nights at Bay Lake Tower, Magic Kingdom View, whatever. So I'm looking at it, looked at different options. Let's look, kids get out late May. Let's do that before Memorial Day, look at midsummer, that kind of thing. So we can find all kinds of stuff. We can use our points and then some. We can get a 2-bedroom villa for almost a week at Old Key West. We've never stayed there, big rooms. And so great. We've already paid for these points. Whatever. This is just what we do. We vacation. We use our, we spend a lot of money on these points. The maintenance fees have doubled since we bought it, right? So we're spending the money. In order for us to buy tickets for 4 days for the 4 of us, it is, I want to say $780 per person.
Ooh.
So $3,000 for us to go to Disney World, where what we have done many, many times.
But that's just tickets.
That's just tickets. Now,
but you've got your points. Okay.
The points, the hotel is quote unquote paid for.
Right.
So $3,000 plus to go, just tickets, just to walk in. And then, all the other stuff that goes with it. So, some kind of festival is going to be going. We're going to buy souvenirs, whatever. So you figure we're in this thing for $5,000
Right.
plus the multiple thousands of dollars of points.
Well, and
she's officially boycotted. We're not doing this anymore.
Oh.
Like we're done traveling to Disney World.
Okay.
So
Just going
then I'm
nuts.
like, we're DVC members. So if we wanted to do, we have effectively 2 years of vacation points right now. So we could go in the next 12 months. We could go for, if we did it right, 2 weeks. Right.
Wow.
Okay.
If we used our DVC membership to buy annual passes, it is now $4,000 for the entire year, not $3,000 for 4 days. So we could spend $4,000, go for the whole year.
That's
But
not
the-
each. That's total.
Total.
Right? Okay.
All in
Okay.
$4,000 for the whole year. $1,000 a ticket for the annual pass. Very few blackout days. And we have quote unquote free hotel. So why would we spend $4,000 when we've been to Disney World before, we've done it, and we could go anywhere. We could, we're talking about spending a week in Colorado, spending a week in Utah, going to the Yellowstone, all that stuff. So I say that just, again, I'm posing a question to our listeners who, by the way, thank you for your feedback on the fridge thing. We had a lot of feedback.
Did you really?
And by the way, almost everyone said I'd have taken the $1,000 off, by the way. So is Disney World too expensive? By the way, Disneyland is more expensive.
True. Very true. You could spend the same amount for a 3-day trip to Disneyland as you spend for a week at Walt Disney World.
Correct. Yeah, that's $250 per person per day at Disneyland.
Dan is crunching numbers in his brain hole.
Or maybe that back zipper's just come back down. Oh, listen to After Hours.
Oh, no.
Okay. I am a single childless person. So the price for me is significantly lower than it would be for somebody who maybe even has one child or what, so is it too expensive for me? Well, currently, yes, because I'm student teaching and not getting paid. But outside of that, no, but it is expensive. Having said that, if I weren't living this specific circumstance and I didn't know as much as I knew about how to navigate everything, I would probably feel like it's way too expensive and I would probably hate it because it's so hard to do anything.
Right. So,
unless you know.
Eric, I'll let you answer before I counter.
I mean, speaking as also a childless person who does have another person that I prefer to travel with, my wife, not these two dogs that are fighting around my legs, because why wouldn't they?
I was going to say, you have 2 4-legged children, I see.
Yes. They're rampaging around the room, fighting over the plush.
Wait, I'm sorry, Jimmy, I think I just landed on something. Perhaps Eric secretly has 4 very small children who he dresses in dog costumes.
That's it.
Like the standard horse costume. They're just small, so they fit in a dog costume. Yes, that's how I get them into the parks. I save a lot of money this way.
You put a little service tag on them.
Right. Little vest.
Yeah.
They're certainly not 2 actual dogs fighting over a Steamboat Willie plush. They're actually
say that now
4
because
children.
the copyright's been lifted. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. I can have this. I can feature this on the show image for this episode.
They are definitely your children if they're fighting over Steamboat Willie.
Yes.
So everyone, just so we're clear, you're now allowed to say the word Steamboat Willie.
That's right.
As well as sing happy birthday to people.
That's right.
No, I don't think happy birthday works.
Happy birthday, sing. What was it? Steamboat Willie.
Oh, so
nobody come at me, bro. Okay, so Eric, is Disney World too expensive?
No. I'm going. So here's the deal. I'm going to Jackson, Wyoming, to ski at Jackson Hole next
in the
month.
Grand Tetons.
Yes.
You both said funny things.
I'm also going on a snowmobile or snow machine, depending on where you're from, ride through Yellowstone.
You live a lot closer than I do.
Yes. I don't
Your
know
kids
what
are.
I don't
Is
know
that little Billy in the front?
That's no.
He's tired of
no,
being.
His name
he's
is
tired
Sam.
of always being the back of the dog.
That's right.
Yeah. So my dad and I are going skiing for 2 days, and one day we're going on a snowmobile trip through Yellowstone.
So cool.
And the lift tickets for 2 days are about $400 each.
Yeah. Right.
So more than a Disney trip for a park day. Oh, you know what? I got to take care of these dogs. Get them out of here.
All right. Well, he takes care of the dogs. So people do this all the time. And like you said, Dan, it depends on what you're into. Eric's making a point. It's like you can go skiing for $400 or you can go to Disneyland or Disney World, spend the same or less. Michael Eisner's big thing was you want to go to see a Broadway show. It's 2 hours, 3 hours maybe, and you're going to spend more than if you go to Disney World for a whole day.
Right. Well,
so
it's
also,
really
a matter
you said it's, it depends on what you're into. Some people spend far more than that on a trip to Vegas or on a pair of shoes if they collect shoes,
or golfing. Like my thing with, I have an annual trip that I bring my employees to Disney World and we get tickets to a theme park. It's cheaper than golf. And that's whenever my expense reports come into question. Like some people golf. This is just what I do. So
yeah, and golf is just a few hours.
Yeah.
Skiing is it's during the daytime. You can't ski at night in most places.
So the argument is, well, we've spent all this money on these monthly fees and blah, blah, blah. We've spent all this money. I was like, yeah. So why wouldn't we take advantage of that and use the money we've already spent? Right. Yes, we've done it before. And would you go see the same Broadway show over and over again? Would you go ski the same ski resort over and over again? I get the point. I don't know. It's interesting. But why would we have bought the vacation club before we had children, knowing that that's where we're going to vacation because we like it so much? And now we don't because it's too expensive and we've already been there.
Well, I think so. I can totally see that both sides of the argument. And I think there's also a counter to what she had said was, or it could be something along the lines of like, well, what if we approach it in a different way each time we go? Like, what if we do this, but let's really focus on some aspect of it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't done Tron. We haven't done, there's other things. We haven't done Moana's thing.
Right. So you could just like maybe go and not focus on the parks as much and just use it as a resort. And then like, we also did Tron because we haven't seen it.
Yeah, or Moana's what's the other thing that's supposed to open this summer? Tiana's is supposed to open this summer, which could be any day between now and...
I'm still currently tied to a trash can by Splash Mountain, which is what I'm going to call it forever.
So I have friends that have bought into DVC where last year they just went during the school year
if only.
Just 'cause. And they did some remote classes, and they asked for a special room so they could practice their their instruments because it was band season and they needed to practice. And they just went and they barely spent any time in the parks. It was just going because we've got points and hey, we can work remotely. We could
That's
do
an
all this
interesting
stuff
point.
without
We could-
being there.
Since we've already quote unquote paid for the room, we can just
Right.
go down to Orlando, stay in a nice hotel with laundry,
Go
to
for
the
like
resorts,
a day or two.
Yeah, or just not go at all.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like in terms of like the parks, just like maybe not go at all, but I think that'd be difficult.
Sure.
It's like, hey, okay, we got 2 days, and the rest of the time it's just resort.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting counter offer. So my point is either A, we go all in, we spend the $4,000, we get annual passes, we use our points that are going to expire, and we use our points from next year. We go twice, 5 days here, 5 days there. The whole thing's justified at that point. We're not wasting, or we're all out. We sell all the points and make money, and not go at all.
What do the kids say?
Disney World.
Yeah.
We had dinner the other night, new restaurant in town. I sat everybody down and said, everybody, I have a problem. I want to go to Disney World in May. And I went through this whole discussion, like, here are the different justifications and whatever. And of course they're 10 and 13. So like, we're going to Disney World. And I'm like, listen, they're 10 and 13. And this is why we did this. This is why we bought this thing. 5 years from now, you're going to look back when they don't want to come with us anymore, or they're doing other stuff. And they're like, then we're like, oh, remember when I wish they were 10 and 13 again and we could just go to Disney World,
So I want to also support her point, which is
It's a lot.
it is a lot.
It is a lot.
But it's less.
Maybe
It's
there's
less now than it will be in 5 years.
Well, and maybe there's no interest in treating it just like a resort,
Yeah.
because you're both from California, and she's definitely more of a Disneyland person at
Correct.
heart, I think.
Yes, indeed.
I'm sure she loves Disney World, but I mean, like, in terms of like, I'm here, it's a theme park, I'm going to hit the theme park stuff.
Yeah.
And I could see a scenario, knowing kind of the way you power through theme parks. I could see possibly her not wanting to approach it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've been there before. So what are your greatest hits? If you go, I mean, my family, when we were teens, we went and stayed at an off property Hilton, and we basically just went to Disney Springs or downtown
we're going to
Disney
stay
as it
on
was at the
property
time.
because we have the points. But to the point, we can go to Old Key West for a week and stay in a 2-bedroom villa, ride up and down the Sassagoula River, do the Springs resort hop. We could get on the Skyliner, ride around. There's any number of things we could do.
Pick one day where you go to a park.
Yeah, and like maybe we just go to Magic Kingdom, do Tron.
But couldn't you also, and again, I'm just trying to present, the other argument here. Couldn't you also probably spend less in points or cash in points and end up spending less in cash to go to the real place?
As in like Europe?
Well, I don't know. I don't know where things are.
What's the real place?
to just like to have experiences that aren't encased in Disney.
Well, yes, and so just
go
as
to
an
Real
example,
Tron.
Real Tron,
The Real Tron.
Just get ourselves in a video game. What I was thinking was we could sell the points, which will be really easy to do.
Oh yeah,
and use that money and go to Disneyland, and fly the family to California and go to Disneyland, or because we don't go there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so
weren't you going to Japan? Like we talked about this a year ago. I think. I swear. Like
no.
you're going to sell your points for the year and go to Tokyo, Japan.
Yeah,
and then spend a few days
true.
in actual Tokyo, and then
didn't do it.
Huh.
But then I looked at, let's go to Disneyland Paris, and flights are $10,000 for the 4 of us to go. So not doing that. That was just basic economy, by the way. But anyway, so yeah, things are more expensive, yada, yada, yada. But if and when we do go to Magic Kingdom and ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disney World, will it be in Frontierland? Will it be in a New Orleans Square-ish type thing? And will Frontierland exist? And will Thunder Mountain be in, I don't know, some South America light brown land? I don't know.
Coco presents Thunder Mountain.
Okay.
No, I think, I think that the direction they're going to go in is it's still going to be Frontierland, but Frontierland is going to consist of a New Orleans Square, a Coco Land, a Thunder Mountain, and a Encanto, because clearly
they're not going to do that for years.
Because clearly Encanto and Coco take place in the same
But
place.
couldn't Tiana's Bayou Adventure and Tiana's Place or Palace, currently Pecos Bill, couldn't that all happen pretty quick?
I think so.
And then you've cut off Frontierland. Excuse me. Pardon me. You've cut off Thunder Mountain. So you'd have to annex it somewhere.
I don't know that you necessarily have to do that. I think that this is the same line of thinking, and I'm not saying this to be critical, but I think this is the same line of thinking as like, well, Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Disneyland is, of course, obviously going to be in New Orleans Square because it's New Orleans-y, which that line of thinking also presents a parallel reality where it's like, so Winnie the Pooh is going to be the only thing left in Critter Country? It's like, no, you can have critters everywhere. So Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to take place in Critter Country, but it's going to share aesthetic elements with New Orleans Square, which is right next door. I think that they've done that with like Fantasyland, New Fanty in Magic Kingdom, where you have like these little areas like the circus and like I think it's going to end up being neighborhoods. And I think Disney has learned that if you try to get rid of anything, and I'm using air quotes here, historical, that the crazy people, the patriots and the historians online.
Get those quotes back up.
Patriots and historians online will make it just completely ridiculous and silly. So if you just kind of just change the aesthetics a little bit to be like, yeah, this looks kind of like New Orleans, but it's still Frontierland, Nimrod.
Okay, so I'll give an example. Adventureland in Magic Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the treehouse, you've got the tiki room, you got Jungle Cruise, and then you've got sort of to your point, or using your phrase, a neighborhood of the Pirates Courtyard, Pirates Cove kind of feel. Like it feels like a different part of Adventureland, but it's its own sort of thing. So you could say Frontierland with a Bayou Cove or a New Orleans-y cove.
Yeah, and I think the space and the sprawl of Disney World really lends itself to that kind of thing, to kind of go like, well, we have all this space. Let's just theme it up.
I think we're going to find out a lot. I hope that we find out a lot at the D23 in the late summer. I think that's going to speak volumes as to where this company's current direction is. There's a lot of talk about Epic Universe and what's Disney's response going to be. And I think if they do not respond in August, September, then I think that at that point they're resting on their laurels and like, listen, come at me, bro. People are coming no matter what. All you're going to do when you open a new park is people will come to your park, then they're going to come to ours. They haven't been to Orlando in a long time. We're still going to get the revenue. Suck it.
And hey, if you're going to D23, please stop by the Supreme Resort booth where we'll be handing out buttons and ice cream.
And don't forget to take part in our Asher costume contest.
Yes.
I think Disney is possibly, with Epic Universe, realizing what I have been kind of thinking, which is I think Epic Universe is going to end up just being it's like Six Flags with minimal theming overlays.
But they've got the monsters, and they've got the Harry Potters, and they've got the How to Train Your Dragon.
It feels like grasping at straws land. Like, do people really care about the monsters?
No.
It's less about the monsters and more about what they
like
do
us.
inside. And the dragon thing, it's not for me, whatever. The Harry Potter thing is wonderful and exquisite, but nobody cares about the ministry stuff. I mean, it's really going to have to be about the attraction. If it's not about the attraction, it's about the theme, it's not going to do well.
Considering it's a mile away. You got to
Right.
take a bus from the one place to the other and go across like
freeways.
Yeah. Like this isn't Disney World where you're still in the bubble. Like you've got to leave the Universal bubble to go to a different bubble.
And the intention for the neighborhoods, this is another thing that I've observed of late. The little neighborhoods that you can kind of isolate these, what do they call them? The portals, right?
Yeah, I think
it is super close to the convention center.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you have, multinational corporation X wants to host their company event at a theme park. They can just close a portal.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've heard that too. Where, why not just rent out the whole area for a night?
But not the whole theme park, just the portal.
Yeah.
So you have monsters, everyone else in the general public, you don't have to close the whole park. You can still have all these other portals while this one company thing happens. Anyway, Jim Hill, I think, said it.
Yeah. Well, I think people are incorrectly assuming that Epic Universe, I like the ambition of it. It looks really interesting, and
I agree.
I'm sure parts of it will be really cool. But I think too many people are assuming that it's all going to be at the same level as like Harry Potter Land.
I don't think so.
I
think you're right. Maybe not Six Flags, but
not
better themed Six Flags. But like, if you remember, listener, they got the Warner Brothers stuff, right? In that Batman ride, you pick your Six Flags because everybody had one. That Batman ride with the queue, and it was like Gotham-y and what it was like, oh, this is so well themed, I see it like that. Not immersive theming, but like better than just switchbacks on a roller coaster.
Yeah. And when we said it's so well themed, what we really meant was, they
tried.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, there's graffiti on the wall that makes it look
exactly.
like
I'm transported to the mean streets of Gotham.
That's right. So I could see that. I mean, they've got a lot more attention. They've got a lot more financing, Comcast / whoever owns them. They're putting money in this thing. And I think they're truly going after Disney. And I don't think Disney's going back. I don't think they're fighting back.
I think yes, they are going after Disney, but in doing so, they are accidentally going after a market that Disney doesn't really care to serve, which is just, teens.
Yeah, maybe.
Just teens.
I mean, Six Flags has its audience. It's got its place.
And rightfully so. I'm not saying that like it's wrong to do that. I just think that, and there will probably be they'll probably feel some heat for some amount of time, but then like after the first year or so, and by the way, Disney should absolutely be investing more than they are. I'm not saying this to like say, well, Universal blows Disney. I mean, Disney is screwing up currently.
Agreed.
We'll see about D23. But having said that, I think that after the first year or so, people will just realize that it's a similar dynamic. It will be a similar dynamic to what exists here in California, where it's just like, okay, do you want to go to Six Flags? Sorry, do you want to go to Magic Mountain, or do you want to go to Disneyland? And if you can't decide, you go to Knott's.
Another thought, Dan, was we take for granted our level of nerdery and our level of knowledge in the parks, and odds are our listeners have the same level of nerdery. So speaking to everyone listening, I have booked enough trips to Disney World and Universal with concierge to know that most people don't know the difference. I've booked trips to Universal. I've booked trips to Disney. My own mother, I booked a trip, and she's like, where's the Harry Potter land at Disney World? That's legit. And I booked a trip to Universal for a family, and they're like, how do we get to the Magic Kingdom from, Universal Studios? Like it's all part of the same thing, right? Does this ticket get me into Epcot also? The one I have for Universal? No. They're two different companies.
And is all this stuff outside of the globe also Epcot, or is that Universal?
So that's exactly the point. I think there's enough people who don't know the difference that perhaps Disney is saying, listen, again, like I said a minute ago, you go to Universal Epic Universe, that's its own thing. While you're there, you're going to go to the rest of Disney World. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, You're going to go to Magic Kingdom still because that's why you're in Orlando. You're going to do this epic thing. But while you're there, you're, of course, going to do the rest of Disney World, right? Anyway, I don't know. We'll find out in September. No more speculation. But by the way, if you are interested in booking an overly expensive trip to Disney World or Epic
regularly
Universe,
expensive,
expensive. And listen, if you're going once every few years, $4,000's not that bad. When you go every year, it adds up.
And I mean, not to go full boomer on this, but I mean, like
back in my day,
I mean, when was the last time you had a $5 footlong?
Well, that's kind of my point, Dan. She even said, like, we used to get annual passes for. I was like, yeah, and we used to buy, hamburgers for $0.25 at McDonald's. Like, what are we doing here? We knew that it was going to get more expensive. None of this is a surprise. What is really the problem? Anyway, you can call 856-OUR-EARS or reach out to concierge.com. Book a cruise, everyone.
Yeah,
Concierge,
I was going to say, let's go with the copy here.
This is the year of the cruise for Concierge. If you've thought about doing a cruise, this is the year of the cruise. We get more commissions now on cruises. So
don't say that part.
Oh, wait. It's this. Anyway, so book a cruise. I just did one. I've talked about it a couple times on the show. It's really been a lot of fun. The president of the Concierge just did a cruise. I think most concierges have done a Disney cruise. We've got a group of specialized experts. I just got recertified for Disney Cruise Line. Evidently, it's great. I think you should do it.
Perform weddings.
Sure. On the cruise. 856-OUR-EARS. Find someone who can book. I can obviously do your cruise for you, but if you would like to work with someone who's actually been on one, we can find somebody to help, but ask for me anyway.
Yeah, and if you want to get married on the cruise, Dan is the only one who's certified as a minister. So
I can't believe that of the three of us, I can't believe that of the three of us. But
yeah,
why are you
two not? Dan is not the only one in the world who's certified. Just in this podcast host.
You just have to pay for Dan to come with you.
Yeah. Sure. Hey, listen, most of these sleep 5. So if you have a family of 4.
Dan will sleep on the pullout and he will marry you.
Well, and I've learned that many of those villas have a pullout from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And if you pull it down, you get
the ceiling when you're
yeah. So just pull it down. There will
push
Dan be.
Dan into the ceiling.
Hi, how's it going? I'll play an Asher
clip
for you.
Book a cruise. You don't have to just book a cruise. Book anything you want. We got it all covered. 856-OUR-EARS. And that brings us to everyone's new favorite segment, Dan's Frosted Tips.
Wait, what was the theme song for Dan's Frosted Tips? I have the mailbag ready, but not Dan.
Just play it. Play Hillhouser.
Hi, I'm Hugh Hillhouser.
Okay, there we go. I have a correction, past tip correction. What I said about seeing Magic Happens or any parade up by It's a Small World. Don't do that. It's a really bad idea.
Really?
Yeah, it's a really bad idea.
But you get to see the pre-dance, Dan.
Well, you get to see the pre-dance, but I mean, okay, let me restate that. The whole hack of getting to that certain spot at a certain time doesn't really work up there. But you do get to see if you see the first parade from up there, there's still plenty of viewing. It's a big space. They built this whole multi-tiered viewing area where you can really see it. You can basically walk up to the normal seating at about half an hour before, 15 minutes before.
Okay.
Still get a reasonably good spot. And you get to see the beginning of the parade, which is they do a little the dancers at the beginning do a very specific sort of opening dance that you only see if you see the parade actually start. Is it worth going out of your way for and pissing off your family who would rather go on Space Mountain? No, not at all. But if you weren't aware of that, it exists. And I still stand by the viewing that I mentioned on Main Street between the train station and Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. You can still walk up even 5 minutes before, and it's wide open.
And you can buy a hat while you're waiting.
Buy a hat
at the Mad Hatter.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a frosted tip right there. Buy a hat at the Mad Hatter.
There we go.
This is our expertise at play.
Hi, I'm Hugh Hauser.
There
you
it
go,
is.
closing it up. Let's open up the old mailbag.
Hey. Hi, welcome to Dance Mailbag of Mail. It's me again. Welcome to the place where we also have voicemail. That's right.
Yeah, we do. Call in. What's the number?
856 our ears.
Yeah. How did Toy Soldier Mike call? Was it called Ears Up?
It's on the Ears Up website. You can click onto the thing on the Ears Ups and then leave a voicemail like this one.
And if you start the voicemail with
Derek,
like that with one of our names,
180 on the sweet spot.
Jason.
That's where I first heard your sultry tones.
Ooh.
And I want to say, I hope those pain meds are working out for you. You may not remember, but you recorded a Vomit Ride episode.
Oh, I
in
remember.
October of 2022 that I just listened to, and I want you to know that I was on pain meds when I rode Mission Space in 2004. And as I reached for the bag, my wife said, "Oh, no, you don't." And then the ride ended, and we're still married.
Yep.
So there's hope for everyone.
That's
Great
right.
job, guys. Look forward to the next one.
That's Toy Soldier Mike.
Who apparently vomited on his wife on
Yeah.
the space ride.
They're still married. She wanted it. She wanted it.
yeah.
She's like, no, not in the bag, honey.
Right here. No.
So-
Hold on. We share everything now.
Where's that zipper? earsup-podcast.com/contact.
And there we have it. It's proof that you can find love and there's someone for everyone. So I'm trying
That's
to
right.
say.
That is true.
Which, oh yeah, zip it up. There it goes. The front and the back part. So, and that brings us to so we had single
Is there an
riders?
actual show happening?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Wait.
wait, there is.
Huh?
The show today, Dan, I know where you're going. The show today
Yeah.
is building up to our spring. The Springstravaganza,
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
aka March Madness, aka whatever. Our Springstravaganza this year is the best single rider line
Yeah.
at the resorts between Disneyland and Disney World. What is the best single rider line? So we thought, what better way to promote the single rider Springstravaganza than to reach out to our previous sponsor?
Okay.
We dropped them once.
Yes.
Yeah. They went in a weird direction.
They said they've kind of rediscovered their roots, and they have sent us an advertisement copy to promote.
Oh, good. So they're into it.
They are the single rider Springstravaganza. Now I have not read this. I just got it in.
Uh-huh.
Back to our roots. And Eric, do you often feel lonely? Do you love theme parks but can't find anyone who shares your various passions? Do you like to share your passion with the world? Do you feel your passions in the extreme? Perhaps the various indignities caused by those left-wing AOC-loving douche nozzles?
Okay.
That is where Single Riders
Yep.
is here to help.
There it is.
Single Rioters
Oh.
Huh.
is a direct-to-consumer app that links you to other like-minded individuals who are not afraid to speak their minds and wield their flags and pitchforks to save our country.
Okay.
Single Rioters. Join us in January 2025 for our next fan event, where we will peacefully protest until our candidate becomes the one true king and overlord.
Oh. Okay.
Where the true Johnson will
So-
do the work that Mike Penis didn't have the balls to do.
Right. So they're very
For special rates, use promo code SAVETHEHOSTAGES for 20% off our already unjust prices. Confederate flags optional. Oh, and you might meet some people. Hashtag dictator for one day.
Huh. So I mean, they've paid us already. Have they?
Okay.
Has the check cleared?
Sorry, I just I was lost in the reading. I'm sorry. What was it?
Jimmy didn't listen to the words he was saying.
No, I get I get it. Oh, single rioters.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Looks like they were kind of just gone in that. They're just doubled down on the
Oh man.
where they were going.
Well, listener, we apologize. I'm now going back to reading #dictator for the first day.
Yeah. They're not talking about potatoes, I don't think.
No.
But
I liked the Johnson and penis kind of.
That was
good.
That was clever. I have to give him that. I don't like it, but that was clever. Yeah.
They meant pence.
Yes, I got that part.
Oh, I didn't even read the part about the noose.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
Oh, the noose.
I didn't read the part about nooses. All right. Anyway.
Oh.
So
thank you for your check, single rioters. Please don't visit their website.
Don't visit their website. Okay. Well, we'll do a better job at screening those, but we like those checks. So, all right.
Both
So
dollars that they sent us.
Single Rider Springstravaganza is our March Madness bracket. When we looked into this, Dan suggested it. Brilliant idea. Let's put all other things on hold. Kids menus, for example.
Still, we're gonna do it eventually.
Still going to do it
Next year, maybe.
Best kids menu. Great idea.
Best tiki room. Can we?
Nope.
Okay.
We could do best bird in the TV room.
Ooh. Oh, that's the worst in the presidents. The sexiest bird. Yeah, we already figured out best bathroom is the stinky room. We got that covered. But yeah, best children's menus. We've come up with some others, but best single rider line. We figured that this is some of the feedback we've gotten is that people enjoy our expertise in the parks and giving some tips and suggestions. That's where Dan's Frosted Tips came into play. And so these episodes are going to really help our listener kind of get some tips and tricks on, is it best to use single rider line? Should I buy the lightning lane instead or use the lightning lane instead? Should I just wait in line? So we thought, what a great idea. Best single rider line between Disneyland and Disney World. We're going to use this episode to break it down and get to the Elite 8, which is 4 at Disney World, 4 at Disneyland, and be able to have an extensive conversation about how did we get to the top 4 in each resort. Good news, bad news. Disney World did it for us because there's only 4.
Yay!
Well, okay, I'm looking at my notes. Jimmy, what do you have as your 4? Because I have 5.
Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith.
Okay.
Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, Test Track, and Expedition Everest.
Oh, so you're not counting the mostly fake single rider line on Space Mountain, which we shouldn't anyway. So that's fine.
At Walt Disney World?
I don't know that exists.
I have never seen a single rider there.
Apparently, according to a YouTube person that I saw on the YouTube, as of a couple months ago, there's a spot. You basically have to wait through most of the line, but then when you get to the actual loading area, you can say to someone, "Hi, I'm lonely," or single rider or whatever. By the way, I'll make jokes like that. I use it all the time, and I go to the parks by myself, so don't get weird. Say, "Hey, I'm a single rider," and they'll like take you in this back door and put you into a special line where they like.
So at the split,
you basically have to wait. 80% of the wait.
I mean, depending on the day, because sometimes you get up to there and there's a lot of switchback left.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's use the parameter. There has to be a sign that says single rider.
Totally. Yeah.
On the queue. So in that case, Rock and Roller Coaster, Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, Test Track, and Expedition Everest at Disney World. At Disneyland, Goofy Sky School, Incredicoaster, The Matterhorn, Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, Radiator Springs Racers, soaring around the California, Space Mountain, the Web Slingers, and Grizzly River Run. Those are all attractions that have single rider.
I might have missed it. You got Incredicoaster, right?
I did.
Okay.
So 2 things of note. Thing number 1, Disneyland.com has a specific web page for single rider attractions. DisneyWorld.com does not. Search for single rider in DisneyWorld.com. You will not find anything that references single rider.
Question, and I don't have a direction to go in here, but it is a question. even though it is closed due to reasons that our sponsor would not approve of, do we include Splash Mountain?
We should.
It doesn't exist.
But
Or
if it
Tiana's
did,
Bayou Adventure.
But we don't know that it will.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair.
Okay, that's fair. We have mentioned it now. It once existed and might not.
That's just one that we need to address and make a call, and that call is perfectly apt.
I think we can make that call if there's any kind of appeals process, which we're going to start doing sooner than later. But for now, for the Elite Eight, we have landed on 4 at Disney World, so that is no longer up for debate. That is the Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, Test Track, and Expedition Everest. We can talk about those 4 now and talk about their value, but I think because they're already set, we can use that for the next episode to talk about those attractions, those single rider experiences. At the end of the next episode, we will have landed on the 2 best and why, and then ultimately the best single rider line at all Disneyland, Disney World combined. So this episode, we need to break down the 9 attractions at Disneyland Resort that have single rider option to determine the top 4.
And then maybe we could also move the discussion that I still want to have about like whether it's like when to use single rider versus Lightning Lane, because that's going to be very attraction specific, but like what single rider is. I know some people have issues with like, well, I don't want to get in single rider like when the line's short. It's like, why?
Right.
We can have that discussion on the next episode. Where was I going with this? But there are some global things that I want to cover here, and especially at Disneyland. Single rider is usually available on all these things.
That's true.
Not always.
Expedition Everest is a good example of not always available.
Right.
True.
And what I've learned is that
sign.
Well, what I've learned is that if you go to the place and they say like, yeah, we don't have single rider right now, come back in a little bit. It is not the same thing as when they say this ride is closed and we can't tell you when it's going to reopen, come back in a little bit. What they mean is that shift is on its break right now. So come back in half an hour or so and it will be back open, because understandably, if single rider requires like a person to make it go, like on Space Mountain, I'm sure Everest sounds like is a similar thing. If you actually need labor to make the single rider function as a single rider line, then that is understandably going to be the first shift that they pull if like, Timmy calls out again or whatever.
My observation, I think you're astutely correct. My observation at Everest is less about head count and more about it's just not busy. So
yeah, if the line's
may be a
moving
head count
quick,
issue, but the line's moving. Let's just not worry about an empty seat. It doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
But here's what I'd like to do, Dan and Eric, is the 9 attractions at Disneyland. Let's go through them. I have them listed alphabetically, and let's go through them and talk about the single rider experience. And let's narrow down the top 4 at Disneyland. Should we, in fairness, say that Millennium Falcon should be in the top 4 because there's an equivalent, or no?
I would argue that it needs to be in the top 4 because it is a damn good single rider line.
It misses. Well, this is something that we'll discuss as we go through. It misses part of the show, but
yes,
it is.
You missed Doc Ondor.
It is Hondo Ohnaka.
That's what I meant. See, you were paying attention. Good job, Eric.
The doctor is in another.
It misses part of the show, but it also is a damn good single rider. Like the first probably 5 times I went on Millennium Falcon, I did the single rider line, and yeah, it's great. So that's a consideration. And maybe it's Falcon versus Falcon at some point. I don't know.
Maybe misses part of the show, but is a damn fine single rider. Why is it a damn fine single rider?
Well, first of all, to access this, we should get into this because we want to get more into that, tips and tricks kind of thing. To access the single rider, correct me if it's different at Disney World. When you get to the entryway, there's going to be starting from your right, because that's how we present things. It's going to be standby,
Yep.
lightning lane, and then a bunch of pissed off teenagers who work there. And finally, to your left is going to be single rider line.
And you're going to basically go up a set of stairs and you're ready to ride.
And you don't need permission. You just go.
You just go, and it's a very fast thing. And will you be engineer? 100%.
Usually. I mean, unless you get that rare family or group that's just like, I don't want to drive this. And you're like, I'm not going to tell you you're not actually driving this.
I don't like murdering TIE fighter pilots.
Yeah,
Maybe you should do it.
It's awesome. Also, when you get to a certain point in the single rider line, there's a split where you can either go right or left. The one to the right is far more viewable and prominent, but if you go to the left, it's the same thing, and it's probably going to be like no one there.
Because people tend to go to the right.
Well, and also it's right in front of you, where to the left you would have to like turn and know that it's there.
Yeah.
Very good point. There's nobody standing at the top of the stairs.
Well, nobody tells you. Yeah.
So here are the notes that I have for future reference. First of all, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run will be on the top 4 Elite 8 for Disneyland. Misses part of the queue show, Hondo Ohnaka specifically, but it is a damn fine single rider line. You'll probably be the engineer. If you go to the left, it's basically the same thing as the right, but less people.
And if you count the Millennium Falcon loading area as show, it's probably a minute wait, maybe 2, unless there's someone else. Like it's you generally get put into a group almost immediately.
Yes.
Oh,
agreed. Yeah. With in my experience, 0 exceptions.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else on Millennium Falcon for this argument before we get into the deep dive in the next episode?
I would also add on Millennium Falcon, you get to sometimes watch families fall apart, which is really fun. Or you also get to watch people realize what the ride actually is and start having fun about halfway through. And that's really great. Also, it has a very low creep factor.
Okay, hold on. Before you get to creep factor, unrelated to single rider lines, just the ride itself.
That's true. That's true. But
because you could see that whether you're a single rider or whatever rider.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's a little, there's a little bit of that. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're not wrong, but I think that this is a unique feature to this single rider line because it is such a social ride. You get to not be alone for a little bit.
Oh, Dan. You're part of the family for a few minutes.
Also, but I mean, I also want to include, because I do use these and I do frankly look like somebody who would have been at the January 6th party years ago.
Next year.
Yeah. I experience like the occasional, what's this creepy person doing next to me? And I don't blame them, rightfully so. The creep factor on this ride is very, very low.
Because when you get up there, they generally assume that you're a pro.
Yeah.
Because you did the single rider. And quite often I've been asked, so what do we do?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, and you also, I mean, the seating's good. Everything's very clearly like everyone has their own seat. You're not sitting awkwardly a little bit too close to somebody who you just met. And you also have your inclusion in this group, like verified and approved of by several cast members. It's like, okay, you are a group now.
I like that creep factor analysis. Yes, that is fair. Yeah, you're just, nobody cares. You're just there for the ride.
All right. I'm adding that into the brackets. Creep factor.
Because it's a real thing. It exists.
Well, it's not like, you're straddling somebody like old school.
Not like it used to
Matterhorn.
Straddle. Gone woke.
All right. Creep factor low.
Right. What you miss is missable after the first time.
Okay. Are you talking about Hondo Ohnaka?
Yeah. It is actually themed to be, from what I can tell, a single rider line. You're not just like going through a back hallway.
It's a themed hallway.
Yeah,
sure.
But like, as far as I know, it's not used for anything else. It's not. You're not like weirdly walking through the exit like some attractions.
Take
Is
that,
it
Space Mountain.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't feel like an afterthought. Let's see what else. Time saved a ton. Reliability, it's always available.
Uh-huh.
I'm adding more notes now. Hold on.
Oh, well.
Okay, so I've got notes, missed queue, creep factor, time saver.
It is themed. Like you don't feel like you've stepped out of the environment into a back hallway like they used to do on Star Tours when they had a single rider line on Star Tours for some reason. And the ride it's the same.
Okay.
And those are all of my categorical notes, I think, that I wanted to add.
Oh, I have changed. Okay.
The single rider at Disneyland Star Tours, what was it? Because at Walt Disney World, I was there once with a friend who was in a wheelchair, and we basically went on this weird, you kind of went up near, like in the main, because it's mostly ramp, but we would go up a ramp and then along by the non-animatronic Calamarian who's in the control booth over the C-3PO and R2-D2 area.
Single rider and Star Tours, by the way, doesn't exist anymore. Should have never existed. Is what the experience was you would be handed this is a single rider line card, and you would then go through. Just picture it. Imagine you're there. You're looking at the building from like under the people mover track that still exists. You have entry to the right, and then queue to the left. You're like right there where the sign is, the waiting time sign. You would go in through the little door that says cast members only with a cast member who had to say, hold on, we're going to do this very awkward thing to the entire line. And then they would watch you go through the door, and then they would walk you up a flight of stairs to the spot where they board gates 1 and 2.
Okay.
And then gates 3 and 4 would just have a bunch of empty seats.
They don't need singles.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on in the interest of time. That was Star Tours no longer exists.
No longer exists.
Okay. Goofy Sky School in alphabetical orders. Goofy Sky School single rider line. It's an outdoor queue, identical on either side, I believe. Or am I conflating that with?
There's only one.
Yeah,
okay.
there's only one.
I'm conflating with the one at Disney World that's not there anymore. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not there. Goofy Sky School.
World.
Thank you. Goofy Sky School single rider. Dan, I do not have experience with this. Please go.
You walk up. First of all, you make sure that they're doing single rider, which sometimes they're not, but usually they are. Sometimes they're not. Usually they are. Almost always. And in this case, it's someone might need to go on their break or something. And usually you will not see the sign if the single rider line is.
I rarely see a sign out.
So you walk up the stairs that are located right by the entrance to basically the spot where they load people. And you kind of shuffle along weirdly depending on how many people are there. Usually not a lot. You can usually get on very quickly. And then they say, we need a single rider. And then you shoehorn yourself into a very, very small vehicle, usually in the back seat, next to what is often a frightened child.
Or a dad whose frightened child is sitting in the front with mom.
Right. And to be fair, it was a tight fit when I was in good shape. It's a tight fit. But again, that's the ride, not the single rider.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I would say creep factor potentially very high because not many people know that the single rider line even exists. And you're just kind of thrown in there. Again, time saved, very good. Theming, it's as themed as the rest of the ride,
right.
Which I mean, that's a bigger discussion to have. Eric, what do you think? You've done it before.
Yeah, I have done it, but I mean, it's very much like the Lightning Lane for Goofy Sky School, where you're skipping what is an insignificant line that is mostly just a pain. If you have to wait at all for it, you're like, why am I doing this?
It's a significant line these days.
Yeah, it can be
to like 30, 45 minutes on the rig.
Yeah, that's too long to be waiting for what is one of my favorite rides, because I love a wild mouse. But
yeah, so you love the Matterhorn.
That was the first time I ever cursed your names.
Thank you. So
but
sweet.
not the last.
I will say, as a larger person, there is a problem that Goofy Sky School presents that is, again, more the ride, but it is enhanced by the inherent awkwardness that can come with single rider
knees
line.
with somebody you don't know.
Well, there's that, but also there are some cars which are very, very picky about how much the lap restraint locks. Like usually you get 1 or 2 clicks and you're good. But there are certain cars, and this has been explained to me because it happened, and I was like, I guess I'm too fat for your dumb ride. And they were like, no, come back, please. and they actually
the ride doesn't stop.
Thankfully they explained it. They're like, there are certain cars that if it doesn't go a certain number of clicks, the whole ride will break down.
Oh.
And so you are potentially, and I'm talking to you, fellow fatty, you and I together, not you, Eric, you other listeners who share this BMI, you are potentially put in the situation of not only ruining this family's ride, but breaking down the entire ride.
Wow.
Which again, more the ride than the single rider line, but the single rider line element doesn't help.
Nice.
Huh. Okay.
So notes for Goofy: walk on at the entrance, potentially sit next to a scared child. Thus, creep factor is high. The time saver is medium high. The theming is
I would say high.
Savings.
It's a good, very good time saver.
Okay, high. The theme is the same, but that's not saying much.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to Grizzly River Run.
Ooh, I've never
Eric?
done single on this one.
Okay.
Neither have I.
Because I generally don't go on this ride because I don't like to be wet.
Because Eric's a cat. So the single rider line at Grizzly River Run is you go through the exit. First of all, just so we can get this out of the way, if you're not sure where to find the single rider line and we're talking about it, it has a single rider line. There are cast members. They can help you.
Just walk up and say, "I'm lonely," and they'll point
Hello,
you toward the.
It's me again. Try to rope them into a conversation because you haven't socialized in years.
So nice weather today, huh? Just get in line, okay?
They love it. They love it so much. So you basically go through the exit, which is it's not the most awkward, but it's awkward.
You're crossing exiters. You're
crossing exiters. It's fun because you get to see how wet everyone is. And then you just kind of like stand there waiting for them to put you in a boat.
Are you on a turntable at this point?
You're not on the turntable. Well, you're not on the turning part of the turntable. Yeah, you have to walk the whole time. You know what you did. You are at the spot where they put basically where the grouper is. You're hanging out with the grouper and you're like, "Hey, what's up? Pretty busy today, right?" And then at some point they're like, "That one," and you go. And then it's almost like the inverse social situation as
Millennium
Falcon, because it's just like everyone else is there and they know each other and they're having fun and interacting. It's just like, "Hey, Uncle Gary always gets it. Is it going to be here this time?" And you get to experience that. Like
you're like, "Hey, Gary, it's your turn."
Get wet too.
So
creep factor high.
Creep factor high?
It's about as high as it gets.
Because it's a lot of people. Yeah.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
You're all
So they're-
facing each other.
Yeah. Are there 8 in a boat?
There's 8 in a boat.
Probably a family of 4, and then a couple.
Yeah. Or like a 3 and
Yeah.
yeah it's
Uncle Frank.
Sometimes
what about the time saver on that one, Dan?
pretty high. I would say pretty high.
Medium high?
Medium high.
Okay, what about the theme?
It's still wood. You're walking through wood.
It's as themed as anything over there.
Yeah,
which
good
is
point, because it's just outside.
Yeah, which is not. It's not like a Goofy Sky School thing where it's like, I mean, they barely tried. Like
Right.
it's the environment is still. If you haven't listened to our episode on this, listen to it. You're still in that environment. Does
Okay.
it save versus Lightning Lane? Which we haven't gone into
Ooh,
that.
No, we have not.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think that might be for the final episode, but
I mean, it's similar to Lightning Lane, but you'll be separated potentially
I would
if
say
you're going with people.
Time or not, I would say Lightning Lane is probably unless you just want to get on the ride. Lightning Lane is probably the way to go because you get to spend just a hair more time in that environment. And that
Okay.
environment is really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going on single rider, they're gonna make you wait a little longer versus a Lightning Lane.
Right. And,
okay, so going
and
back,
if you're with a group, definitely a Millennium Falcon, you want to do Lightning Lane. Goofy Sky School doesn't matter. It's like watching a movie. You're not going to like talk to each other the whole time. Grizzly River Run, if you're with a group, definitely Lightning Lane.
Yeah, that's a
Because
communal experience.
Yeah.
I just stop me if you disagree, but I feel like this should not be. We need to set the parameter that single rider, you will be separated.
Right.
So
Usually,
let's
yes.
just take the group aspect out of it. Not to say that you have to be at Disneyland in order to do the single rider.
Right.
But let's assume you're not going to be with your group. So if you're not going to be with your group, then all factors remain equal.
Mm-hmm.
Creep factor stays the same.
Mhm.
All the other things stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have right now is Lightning Lane versus single rider. Millennium Falcon single rider is better. Grizzly Lightning Lane is better. What do we feel about Goofy? Single rider is better or Lightning Lane is better?
Single rider.
Single
just
rider
because
is
the
better?
time.
Okay. All right. Moving on to Incredicoaster.
Oh, Incredicoaster. There have been so many times where I've been in the single rider line, and I feel like if I had just gotten the Lightning Lane, or if I had just waited in the regular line, I would have gotten on in the same amount of time.
Spoilers for Radiator Springs Racers.
Radiator Springs, I think, is much
not,
faster.
Not quite.
Okay. All right. So Incredicoaster single rider. How do we do this?
It's interesting because you do get to come in basically at the exit,
Okay.
and then you get to take an elevator, and then you get to take another elevator. But there's a lot of standing around going, what are we doing here? Why aren't we moving?
Which is why I think creep factor is extremely low because you're all just a bunch of creeps.
Oh, that's fair.
Because the person you're getting on the ride with, since there's only one other, could also be a single rider.
Potentially. But you're with this group, so you're waiting along the pier, and it feels like forever until you realize how this thing operates. And then they shuffle a group of, let's say, 12. I don't know if that's the exact number, but whatever
The capacity is of the elevator.
Right. And then they shuffle a group of 12 into another little shame pile at the exit. And then they say, okay, go ahead. And somehow the group just figures out that you go up the elevator, across and down the other elevator. And then all of a sudden things are moving real fast.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're just in this cluster, and it's like, wait, who gets out of the elevator first? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter because it's going to go real fast.
Yeah.
And they have a dedicated grouper in the loading station where if they see an empty spot, they're like, single, and you just got to go for it.
Right.
It's kind of cool, actually. But getting to that point can feel like a slog. And that line sometimes can get it goes real fast.
Mm-hmm.
It can also be excruciatingly slow. Like I'm saying, like there have been times where I've been in that line. I'm like, what am I doing here? I could have just, the line for the ride is 20 minutes long. I should have just gotten in the regular line.
Right. No, I mean, like the standby line can go very quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
time
not
saver.
It's not a guaranteed time saver, but
yeah,
when it's busy, it's a very good lightning line. Or sorry, a single rider.
And to that point, single rider or lightning lane?
Lightning lane is guaranteed. You're going to get through faster.
Yeah, lightning lane, just because it's a sure thing. And you can ask for the front.
True.
What do we think about the theme?
There's no theme anywhere
I'm
in that
happy
line.
to skip through what you skip through.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, yeah, in the regular queue, you're walking past billboards and you might see a chunk of the video that's playing up on the bridge.
Right. Okay. So far on Incredicoaster, the notes queue miss: go through the exit, elevator up, elevator down, awkward wait, fast once you're in the loading area, creep factor is low because you're potentially all creeps.
Mm-hmm.
Time saver is when it's busy. Theme is happy to skip what you skipped or what you waited for. And finally, lightning lane versus single rider. Lightning lane is better.
Yeah, just because the guarantee.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Moving on to the Matterhorn.
Before we do, real quick, side note, there is sort of a single rider line. Not really. It's not labeled, so we can't count it. But Monsters, Inc. Look into a Buddy Pass. We'll go.
Ooh, talk about Buddy Pass.
Oh, hang on. Before a Buddy Pass, let's do a quick, an actual. Well, I mean, our previous ad, they paid us, but here's another ad.
Your attention, please.
The holidays are back at Starbucks, and there's so much to share. With classics like Caramel Brulee Latte, Peppermint Mocha, and Chestnut Praline Latte, we're celebrating everyone's flavor of festivity. Order yours in the app.
And we're back.
And that is the Monsters Buddy Pass system. Pretty cool, right?
Cool. That was really interesting, Dan. Thank you for sharing that. You know what? I think that was worth downloading the entire episode just for that tidbit. Nice job.
If you
did you research that? Or is that just something?
I would say the bulk of my research done for this episode has been about the Monsters Buddy Pass.
Maybe
That's really cool. Good job. Thank you. Let's move on to the Matterhorn.
What I just to go back, I am delighted that you two were so enthralled by the fact that the plan was put in Mark Davis's will.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that was worth the price of admission, Dan.
I know, right?
All right,
so
Matterhorn.
Anyway, it exists, and you can look it up.
Okay,
Matterhorn. Eric, what do you think?
I've never done the single rider for Matterhorn, but I could see how it's useful because it's one of those rides that has an odd number of seats. So, does it have an odd number of seats?
Math nerds, you'll have to forgive
4 people
Eric.
in there or 5?
I think by odd you mean not normal, but it is 6.
It is 6. Oh, okay. See,
Yes.
that's it. I don't go on Matterhorn that often, but okay. But yeah, 6 is a weird number because most people tend to be in pairs or we've got thruples going on these days, and
So as I recall, Dan, it's another holding situation in the outdoor queue. Of course, it's all outdoors.
Yep.
It's a holding situation where they group in a fair amount of people until effectively the lane closest to the loading area gets full.
Yeah.
And you are, in fact, closest to the loading area on that part of the switchback. And you're called, again, just kind of as typical single riders.
Yeah.
So I having never done it, where does that line actually play out?
So you enter on the stroller side of the Matterhorn.
Okay.
AKA Fantasyland. But you can ride both sides. You don't get to pick. And you go in, it's labeled single rider line. You are basically kind of waiting right next to the queue for Lightning Lane, which always has a line. And they
bad Lightning Lane.
It's not a great Lightning Lane. And they kind of just let you in as the same grouper that puts people from the standby or Lightning Lane into the respective right and left queues. That same person handles Lightning Lane, so they just send you. I'm going to do this a lot. Single rider, so they just say like, okay, go into the single rider line. They physically block the turnstile that would take you into the regular queue.
You're just standing there.
Like,
okay,
this one right here. And you go in, and you're just kind of waiting there, right next to the main grouper to. And you get to be very frustrated as they like, do we have a party of 2 or 3? Party of 2 or 3? You're like, there's 3 of us right here, sir. Or man.
You will be separated if you're in a single rider.
So yeah, I mean, you ultimately get to see it's I mean, not that the queue is extremely, it's not, let me put this another way. It's not the most themed, but I mean, for the time that it was built, it's pretty cool. You get to see all that stuff.
Yeah, you're still in the same area as the rest of the lines.
It feels very organic. It feels like it's always been there, even though it hasn't been.
Plenty of yodeling.
So much yodeling.
Creep factor low?
I would say creep factor very low, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because
you're in your own seat.
Yeah, you're in your own seat. Nobody would know any different.
Is it a time saver?
Yes.
Low, medium, high?
Depending, it's like an credit coaster. It's high, but I mean, versus standby line, it's a high time saver. Versus Lightning Lane, it depends. But I would say if I was to like place a bet on it in terms of like betting with my time, I would go with single rider line basically every time.
Huh. Okay.
On the Matterhorn.
Okay. Good to know. And
especially
I missed out last time I was there.
Especially because if you're there with a group, you're not again, it's like a movie. You're not going to talk through the whole thing.
Right.
And you're sitting single file. So like,
yeah, you're not having to sit next to anybody,
You'll
awkward conversation.
no matter what.
Right.
Okay. So just for the people playing at home, we have 4 left. We've gone through 5 attractions at Disneyland. Millennium Falcon is going to be in the top 8. We have 3 more slots to fill. So far, we've done Goofy's, Grizzly, Credicoaster, Matterhorn. Now we have 4 left, starting with Radiator Springs Racers.
Very, very high value. But
I don't like this ride for some reason. I realize it's a very good ride.
Good ride.
I recognize that, but for whatever reason, I've been on it maybe 5 times out of the 100 or so that I've been there.
So from my experience, it is a dedicated queue line. You get to see the high points, which is effectively Radiator Springs, right? You walk right by it. So you don't really miss anything as far as queue goes.
Yeah.
You don't go in the little shed thing.
Yeah, but you can see it. You can see the outside of it.
Yep. So basically, theming's the same. How do we feel about creep factor? Typically, you're sitting next to a father and his child. The child's in the middle.
Yeah, there's a little bit of creep factor there. I feel
medium creep factor.
I would agree. Medium creep factor.
If you want the experience, then Lightning Lane is better because you can sit with people and you get your picture taken.
Oh,
but you have to pay for Lightning Lane on this one.
True. Oh,
I was going to say
that's extra. Yeah, you're
single
right.
versus Lightning Lane. It's who knows, but because it's the free option.
Yeah, and single rider does. I mean, it's a huge time saver, but I don't like going on this ride alone because
it's scary. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, there's that big tractor. I don't.
Right, it goes from light to dark, and it startles you. And
right. I don't like going on it alone because, like you're saying, Dan, it's a fantastic ride. It's a great ride for what it is, but it's an experience, and I want to experience something like that with people that I want to be with.
Like, I was just in Radiator Springs outside, and now it's dark.
Right.
And I'm in it again.
Yeah.
But just saying it alone, I don't care.
I've done single rider. By the way, I would say I've exclusively done single rider on this ride. I do not believe I've waited on this ride for any other than single rider. So I could not speak to the Lightning Lane. Is Lightning Lane better?
I did Lightning Lane once, and I was by myself.
You didn't even do like old school Fast Pass?
You did Lightning Lane by yourself?
I did, because I was just like, so I realized that I think what I dislike about this ride is the queue. It's just not a place that I want to be.
Yeah.
Boring. Yeah, it's really well done, but it's like
there's the bottle house, and
it's like it's almost like that is the best tint of beige I've ever seen. You know, it's just
it feels very Thunder Mountain to me.
Yeah, but it's less. It's Thunder Mountain. You have the Rainbow Ridge so there's some life there. You get to see, like, it's just you're in this.
Well, and you see the ride go by. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why people like it. It's sort of like, it's not for me. It's not a place that I want to hang out. So I wanted to ride the ride. And I was just like, you know what? I haven't done this before. As a theme park journalist, I should see what the Lightning Lane experience is like. It's extremely seamless, mainly because you have to pay for it. And so basically, you just walk on. You're essentially walking on, and you don't have to deal with any of the queue.
If we get Dan a press pass, then he can start deducting things like this from his taxes.
So as we're discussing this, I think we're going to be able to eliminate the Lightning Lane as better key attractions. And also for context, we are not arguing the quality of the attraction, but rather the quality of the single rider line.
Right.
Just saying out loud, not that was
well, and there will be naturally some sort of gray area between the ride and how the single rider line, how they relate to each other.
Sure, but eventually. But for the sake of this conversation, is Lightning Lane better?
I would say simply because you have to pay for it, no.
Eric?
If you want to experience the attraction with people that you love, then it's better.
All right. Well, this is our first depends. I couldn't speak to it, so I can't break the tie. We'll have to come back to that. Next attraction is Soarin' Around California.
I've never done it.
I've never done it either. And in fact, I've waited in line and then somebody's like, hey, are there any singles? And I, wave and I get into the next trip.
I've never done it either. So I would say I would posit here that we eliminate it from competition because it is the single most boring queue, regardless of how you experience it.
Both coasts.
Regardless of how you experience it, it's a horrible queue. You're gonna have to wait forever, regardless of what you're doing. So I posit we strike it from the record. It is exempt from argument.
Well, and I would also say that it would end up losing in the better than Lightning Lane argument, because if you go Lightning Lane, then you can, I know it hurts sometimes you just need to do it. You can wait, key words here.
Go to the middle.
You can ask to wait for the middle section.
Middle of the middle. Okay. If you're Lightning Lane, you cannot do that if you're a single rider.
Yes.
Okay, great. That one is done off the table. Two more. Space Mountain.
Oh, this line it's painful. It's not marked. You have to go in through the exit.
It is marked in the exit.
Well, yeah, you have to know that it's there, but you go in through the exit. The cast member usually is friendly, and
the cast member is overwhelmed. Yes, usually friendly, but let's be fair, almost always overwhelmed.
And then once you get down there, everybody's so frickin' confused as to what is going on, because you have that little outcropping where you kind of wind through. And the last time I was there, witnessed multiple people pissed off, wondering what was going on, and the people in the line are the ones saying, "No, get over there. We're all waiting. Get over there. Get in the line." And everybody's just like, "No, I'm just gonna keep going." Like, it's so awkward.
They've gotten better about. Yeah, it has. It's so.
This was 3 months ago. This is not better. It's the same. It's always the same.
Space Mountain's okay. It is definitely an afterthought in terms of what you miss. You don't get to see. I mean, yeah, Space Mountain queue at Disneyland is not good, but the parts of it that are good, you kind of just get to sort of look up at.
You don't get to see the video telling you to sit down
and shut up.
Sit down.
And the notes that I have, you have to know that it's there. You go through the exit and you end up in this dark, dank hallway that is in no way themed. It was never meant for guests.
And you awkwardly kind of have to deal with the fact that it is the entry and exit for the DAS Pass and for employees coming and going from their breaks.
Right.
True.
However, you get to ride Space Mountain in 5 minutes.
True. It's
Okay,
usually pretty. It's usually pretty good time savings, and it was one of our Supreme Cons was one of my favorite experiences, where a car was taking too long to load, so they completely unloaded the car.
Everyone, yeah, I remember that.
Everybody except for Eric, get in this car, and they left a seat empty, and I had to wait for the next ride.
That's right. There was this one empty seat, and
Just
the one seat that I
miscounted.
didn't.
So
That was funny.
I would argue, and this is very specific to me, but I'm sure that people will share this. It's kind of fun to watch that chaos and to be a part of that chaos.
Yeah.
And to be
Especially if you know that if they don't launch, then the whole thing's going to shut down.
Right. And so, and a lot of random things can happen. Like I just remembered this. I sat next to a plaid last time who was probably leading a tour with some sort of a sports ball person who the people I was with, because sometimes I do go with people, said, yeah, that was definitely either a basketball or football player, like a person who, if we knew those things,
if we
would
knew
probably
sport,
know who they were. Yeah, if we sport, then they do.
If we knew sport ball, is it fair to say Lightning Lane is better?
It's less awkward.
The creep factor we haven't gotten to yet.
Creep factor is, I would say it would be high, but it's so frenetic.
No one even has a chance to get creeped out that you're there.
So is it low, medium?
I would say medium to low.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
So Lightning Lane, I'm thinking here, would I take someone on single rider line if it was their first time riding this ride? No, we would do Lightning Lane. Same thing with what's it called, the Millennium Falcon. However, for repeat rides, and this is one of these places where our superpowers of being nerds about this can come in really handy. If you're there with somebody who doesn't know that this exists and you tell them you want to ride again, it'll only take like 3 minutes, their eyes light up.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, you turn around and walk back in.
I've been that person, Dan. But that's an interesting little wrinkle in this.
It is such.
And we haven't talked about it. And again, for our audience, odds are we're not talking about first-time riders.
Right.
So targeting the people who go all the time, because you can ride Space Mountain in, is it 5 minutes?
Maybe 10.
Yeah.
So for our audience, Lightning Lane, single rider is better.
Faster.
Yes. And it has the added impact of, if you're there with people who don't know, you get to see, you're a wizard for the next hour of these people's lives.
Okay. You are a wizard. All right. Okay. Finally, web slingers.
Oh, you know what? I really like this single rider line. I may not thoroughly enjoy the attraction, but it's almost always the way to go, because you get to see the pre-show.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You see the full pre-show. You get to go through a back hallway that is still themed.
It's as themed as the rest of the place.
As themed as the rest of the hallways. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to kind of
the old Stark Motors thing.
Right. You come around, like you walk past that little office that looks cool. That looks like an old time. I think
the foreman's office, right?
Yeah. I think this is one of the best.
It can be. I mostly agree with you. It can be a little bit awkward because it's not a dedicated line, meaning that once you get to a certain part of it, it's very clearly like where the cast members come and go for their like shift switches.
Yeah, it is a cast member hallway, but you get to the end and you're just kind of standing there at the corner and you get thrown in with the rest of the group. It's a little creepy. I've been creeped out by myself where people are like, what are we supposed to do? I'm like, just do this. Oh, you're good at this. I'm like, no, no one is good at this.
So I feel like on this one, creep factor is medium, but help because you're able to help potentially. It goes back down to a low, I think.
I suppose that makes sense because people, when they realize that you know what you're doing, they want your advice. Is that
Maybe.
fair? Like, what are we supposed to do? I don't know. Just flail your arms. It'll be fine. Or don't. It'll also be fine.
So I've got, it's medium, but if you help others, could be low.
If you're okay with helping people, if you're okay with talking to strangers.
But if you're there by yourself, odds are. I'm joking.
Hey, come on.
Is it a time saver?
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those situations where at worst it's even to lightning lane.
But yeah, most cars, I mean, this is a 4-person vehicle. And most often you get in pretty quick.
And honestly, the disappointing theming of the single rider areas is easier to take than the disappointing theming when you realize, oh, this is just the theming of the place.
It's just an industrial hallway.
Less disappointing.
It feels a little. It feels kind of cool, actually, coming through what you feel like is a cast member hallway.
In fact, if this just were the queue, it would totally work for me.
Okay.
You get the pre-show. Themed hallway.
Yeah.
You basically get the same queue as everybody else. You're just waiting a lot less time.
Right. Because after the pre-show, if you're in the standby line, you've got a long way to go.
Okay. Final question. Which is better, single rider or lightning lane for web slingers?
I guess it's kind of one of those experience things. If you want to be with people that if you want to compete against your friends, single rider doesn't do that.
Talk to our audience, Eric. Our audience goes all the time.
They go all the time. Then, I mean,
you could just share your score.
True. Yeah, this isn't. I mean, I know it's supposed to be kind of the same experience as like Midway Mania, but I've often felt like there's so much going on in this that you don't really know what's going on. It's not the same as sitting next to a person and competing against one other person. You're just shooting stuff. I think, unlike Midway Mania, this one doesn't matter what you do.
And I recognize that they intended to have some sort of like interactive, like kind of social aspect to it. But you're right, Eric. It is such a fustercluck that like that just doesn't, even if it exists, even if like, yes, that programming does exist in it, I wouldn't be able to find it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's why it's important. We have narrowed down that we've had a good conversation. I have notes for all of it. I can review the notes if we'd like. We have 3 attractions to compete with Disney World. We've already gotten Millennium Falcon. If we've decided that if we've determined the single rider line is better, those are going to be in the final 4.
Okay.
Right now, Millennium Falcon's in. The others are Goofy's Sky School, single rider's better.
Okay.
Matterhorn, single rider's better.
Mm-hmm.
Radiator Springs Racers, depends.
Ooh.
Space Mountain, single rider is better.
Mm-hmm.
So if we decide Web Slingers is whatever it is, if nothing changed right now, the final 4 at Disneyland would be Millennium Falcon, Incredicoaster. Goofy Sky School. Goofy Sky School, Incredicoaster, No, wait. I'm reading the wrong thing. Strike that. All right. Falcon, final four. Falcon, Goofy, Matterhorn, and Space Mountain. That would be our final four. If our parameters are single ride or better.
I might put Web Slingers over Goofy.
And would you put Radiator Springs Racers over anything else?
That's rough. Oh, you found a very sore spot for me, because while I don't like the ride very much, it is the only way to go on the ride without paying and without waiting in the standby queue.
That is
which was that?
That's
Radiator
a good argument
Springs.
for Radiator Springs. Yeah.
Because so let's get to Web Slingers. What's the final verdict? Single rider or lightning lane?
Single rider.
I think single rider, and I'm okay losing Goofy's Sky School for Web Slingers.
Okay. So if that's the case, then we have Falcons in.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna take away Goofy. We are going to add Matterhorn,
Web and Space.
Web and Space Mountain.
Do we need to have Falcon versus Falcon? Because it is basically the same thing. And I know
That's a good question.
I know we wanted to do that because we are who we are, and that's funny. But
Yes.
and I agree with that. However, what if
It's boring.
it's the same on both coasts.
Okay. So if we're taking Falcon away, we are left with Web Slingers, Space Mountain, Matterhorn,
Radiator Springs,
and Radiator Springs Racers.
I think that's fair. I think that's a bracket. That's 4.
All right. So I'm going to have to redo my notes. So we have Matterhorn, Radiator Springs Racers, Space Mountain, and Web Slingers. Is that right?
Matterhorn and Radiator Springs could go together because they're rocky.
Okay. Well, let's do that next.
About the
and
matchup.
this is going to be the show for you guys because no time for mailbag.
We did the
You mean
mailbag.
Wheel?
I mean, no time for wheel.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I'll compile the notes so that we have them all. But right now, I've got Everest, Falcon, Rock and Roller Coaster, and Test Track, Matterhorn, Radiator Springs Racers, Space Mountain, and Web Slingers. So the brackets should be Test Track versus Radiator Springs because they're the same ride.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. We're gonna start comparing East versus West in the 8. Okay. We're not gonna wait until
you got West. You got West and East, right?
Okay.
So Test Track versus Radiator Springs Racers.
Okay.
And we can figure out the regionals, but for now I'm just doing
Everest,
West and
Matterhorn.
East. Everest, Matterhorn.
Oh no.
Rock and Roller Coaster and Credit Coaster.
Hold on. Oh my God.
No, Incredicoaster's
repeats
not
of
in
the
there.
episodes.
I know.
Incredicoaster's not in there though.
Well, Rock and Roller Coaster
Oh, it's not.
versus either Space Mountain or Web Slingers.
Space I guess.
Mountain.
Yeah.
Well, now Web Slingers and Falcon.
That
Huh.
works.
Okay. Screen
So
rides.
Rock and Roller Coaster, Space Mountain, they're both roller coasters in the dark. And the video game rides are Falcon and Web Slingers, right?
Okay.
And these also actually share some thematic things because, especially with what was it? Test Track? No. What was it? Falcon and Web Slingers, because they kind of go through the back hallway, both of them. But wait, you see never mind. Forget that. I said
All right.
that.
So here are the brackets. We're going to do the slot car bracket.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do the Yeti bracket. We're going to do the roller coaster in the dark bracket and the video game bracket.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Are we
Cool.
doing a contest?
Should we do a contest?
No.
Right. We've got 2 weeks. There's not a lot of time, and we know the people that will write in.
All right. However, you probably, if you listen to this right at the release, you probably have a few days, if not a week, to listen to this and tell us what we missed. What did we get wrong? Any notes that we can share in our next episode, knowing that the final 8 are going to be Test Track versus Radiator Springs, Everest versus Matterhorn, Rock and Roller Coaster versus Space Mountain, and Millennium Falcon versus Web Slingers. But did we miss anything in the single riders? Please share your knowledge so that we can share it with our greater audience.
I also want to put a call out to, if you have any strong, please share if you have any strong opinion about any of these that you think we should include in the show. Please share. Please, if you have any fond memories of Single Rider Line, times when you were a wizard yourself,
that's right.
All of that, you can interact with us on the Facebook group. It's Facebook, the Supreme Resort group. Great.
And we have a little bit more time to fill. So what we're going to do is we're going to rerun the part of the show where Dan talked about the Buddy Pass. So we're going to go ahead and rewind and rerun the Buddy Pass. So Eric, do you have any music to transition?
You got to give me a little more time than that.
All right.
Hang on. Here, let's go.
Nope,
all right. This was what Dan was saying about the Buddy Pass that the old ad played over.
So yeah, the Buddy Pass was left in Mark Davis's will as something that, see, Mark Davis, not many people know this, but he was actually a psychic, a time traveling psychic. So he had it coming on both ends. So every once in a while, he would say to his wife, I believe Alice, he would say, Alice, I'm going down the rabbit hole. And it was really cute because it was a reference to her name and Alice in Wonderland. And it was just an ongoing joke they had. She kind of tolerated his constant reference to her name being Alice and it also being a book and a movie because, they worked for the same company. And
hey, Eric, we should probably play an ad over this.
That same company made Alice in Wonderland. They actually, Mark Davis wanted to get an engraved sign for their home, which would say "Welcome to Wonderland." And Alice was like, people are gonna think that we have some weird stuff going on here, like vaguely sexual stuff. And Mark, you being a time traveler, that will be more accepted in the future. And seeing as how that's not happening yet, we need to not do that. So we had the sign engraved anyway. There was an engraver at the studio who we worked with a lot. And he was going to give it to her on their anniversary, but he died. And so she found in his will that he said that there was going to be a park in the parking lot of Disneyland, and she was like, that's insane. And then, but she saw the plans for Westcott, and she was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But then
thanks to our sponsors,
then
Amazon Prime,
Amazon
Prime
that.
Plus,
but
Paramount Plus, all of the streamers.
She rifled through it. She skipped over the part about California Adventure because she was like, who would possibly do that? And then she saw that eventually this thing called Superstar Limo would be closed and just kind of sit there for a while. And then she got bored by that, but then she saw Buddy Pass. Apparently the Buddy Pass is going to be something that will happen at a ride called Monsters, Mike and Sully to the Rescue, which she didn't even know that movie was going to happen. So she was very confused. So she just skipped straight to, she was like, okay, what's the point? What is the point of this Buddy Pass thing? Because I've spent all this time just trying to get to this one thing. I'm Alice Davis. I don't have time to waste. I got to get out there.
Making a second set of costumes for all the rides.
Yeah, exactly. She has stuff to do. She doesn't have time for all of this nonsense. So she discovered that the Buddy Pass is something that you could go to the front of the line and talk to the cast members and say, are you doing the Buddy Pass? And they would say either yes or no. And if they said no, then it wasn't happening. But if they said yes, they would say, yes, in fact, here's your buddy pass. You and up to 2 other people can go through the exit and take the back row, which she didn't understand. I don't understand it, but it's a thing.
Guess
What is the buddy
Supreme
pass,
Resort.
What
is the buddy pass?
It's a pass so that you and 1 or 2 other people can sit in the back row.
So it's not like a front of the line thing? You've already waited in line?
No, you don't even wait in line. I don't understand why it's a thing. And I tried to get an explanation from the cast member, and they were like, well, because we have 3 rows. And I was just like, I guess that's an answer.
Okay. So it's an unofficial single rider.
Yeah.
Weird.
All right. Well, listener, we hope you enjoyed the second installment of the Buddy Pass. We listened to it twice. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as we did the second time. That is our episode breaking down the Elite 8 in the single rider spring, what did I call it? Spring-sational. Springstravaganza. Single rider Springstravaganza, because we're legally not allowed to say Final Four or March Madness. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed. We will see you on the next episode where we will decide which is the best single rider line in all of the domestic Disney parks.
We'll have a guest.
And we'll have a guest, Tage from DL Weekly. Tage will decide. We look forward to having Tage back for our annual Springstravaganza. Until then, 856 Our Ears, playing your Disney cruise lines. That is all you can book. Actually, you can do other stuff, but please book cruise lines. And we have other shows, the Puny Pod. We don't know what's going on with Ears Up in Depth yet. No?
Correct.
So Ears Up for now. Undecided in Depth. Puny Pod is breaking down the Marvel release in order. The Star Wars show, I believe he had my buddy from Screen Crush.
George Lucas.
Is that right?
Oh,
not George Lucas. It was Ryan Airy.
Yeah,
from Screen Crush. I was asked to be a guest on that show, and I didn't have time legitimately. But man, am I sad that I missed out, because I really wanted to meet him. Like his work, you should check him out on YouTube. Screen Crush does a lot of. He works in an old Blockbuster Video. His manager is his dog.
Guy. That's Mr. Screen Crush.
Yeah,
what's the dog with him?
Ryan Airy does a really great in-depth analysis on all of your favorite nerd things. His manager is his dog. He's a very cute little dog.
Does he do the voice for the dog?
He does the voice for the dog and the little hand puppet. He does a really good job. Screen Crush. Watch that on YouTube. And that is our show. Thank you.
If you want to go to Patreon, you can pay us a small amount of dollars and you can listen to more of us.
That's right. Oh, yeah. You can listen to what we talk about before we record the show and Supreme Resort After Hours.
Mm-hmm. You get to hear things be zipped and unzipped.
Right.
Also, I want to co-sign on Screen Crush because I didn't realize that was the guy. I generally avoid those sorts of channels because they're kind of obnoxious sometimes, but he is enjoyable.
Yes.
He does that sort of content very well.
Agreed. Has a lot on Deadpool 3. A lot. Looking forward to that this summer. And in the meantime, you can listen to him on Puny Pod on one episode about Star Wars. For the rest of the time, we will see you at the Final Four. Oh, wait. No, wait. The Springs, whatever.
Bantha Milk.
Bantha Milk. Sorry. Thank you.
Scraping the Vault.
Scraping the Vault. That's right.
That vault.
Scrape it. And we're going to, oh my God, we got to record that.
Yeah.
And we got to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Which is Pan's Labyrinth.
Princess Mana.
Princess Mana.
Those of you who enjoy anime, you are currently yelling at us, and I understand.
Princess Mononucleosis.
Yes, you get to listen to Audrey explain a better movie to us than we usually watch.
That's correct.
And we'd be like, what?
Labyrinth, in retrospect, was phenomenal. Loved it.
Good.
Okay. Until next time, be good to each other, and court is adjourned.
Dan, I saw you contemplating doing another zipping.
It's not too late. What a button.
It sounded like you just farted and ripped through your pants.
That was the fart. Hold on. This is the zip. There we go. That doesn't
Perfect.
sound like paper towels.
What a button.
That's a show.